If you'd like to follow along, this project is available for purchase at the Montavilla Sewing Center's Teachable site. You can purchase the project separately or join the club and save. Information on joining the club is available in the description below. This block is part of the yearly 8-inch Block of the Month Club. Enrollment in the yearly club includes the General Instructions course, which includes detailed information on what to do with your blocks once they're completed. Trimming, joining, sashing, invisible sashing, applique and raw edge applique, whole block backs, borders and corners, and how to bind the quilt once you've got all your blocks joined together. The general instructions are also available as a single course. There's a link in the description below. I use the dime monster block maker when making my blocks. If you are unfamiliar with the monster block maker, check out this video. Needles and thread for this project, I would go with kind of my go-to for the quilting, the 9014 quilting needles. And for thread, I use just a standard 40 weight top thread and either a 60 or 80 weight bobbin thread. Since this block is all stitching, there really won't be a lot to this particular tutorial, but here are some tips and tricks to help you through the process and things that I kind of discovered as I was working through the samples. You're going to set your block up just like normal using the 8-inch jig. I used a muslin for my back block, and then I've got my batting and my top material. I would strongly recommend for this particular block to do a whole cloth back. There are a lot of stitches and a lot of tie-offs. Here is the back of one of the blocks. I'll take a close-up of this. It is honestly, because of all of the tie-offs, because of all of the individual numbers, the back of this block is going to be a bit of a mess. I will not kid you. But using a whole cloth back is kind of the perfect scenario for this. A few other things to know about stitching this block. It is in fact just all stitching, and while it looks pretty open, there are a fair amount of stitches in this because of all of the little numbering and lettering. I would make sure that you have very fresh tape on your jig because, again, there are a fair amount of stitches and it's going to tend to pull a little bit. So the better your tape is, the better your blocks will stay aligned. If you want your back to be a little less messy and you don't mind trimming your jump stitches, you could turn off your thread trimmer when you start doing these letters. It is a lot of jump stitches because I tried that thinking, well, maybe that will help this whole scenario. Honestly, the whole cloth back I think is probably the way to go. The other thing that I would do, kind of along with the whole cloth back, is I would stitch your blocks together like this, just like normal. And then I would put your whole cloth back on. You could baste around the edges. Then I would add these because that will help hold your whole cloth back in place. When I did this one, I did not do it that way. And so on this particular one, this is just kind of wall hanging, so it won't matter. But if you were going to end up laundering this, my whole cloth back is loose. It's not stitched down other than at the sides. Normally when I do a whole cloth back, I will do stitch in the ditch in between the blocks to hold that in place. Here, honestly, I think it would be best if you just did this stitching through all of your layers. What I did here is, this is just 1/8-inch satin ribbon, and then I just did a really narrow zigzag, a very narrow long zigzag, so it's almost like a serpentine stitch. This shows how fun this block is to use as a border. The button blocks were from last month, and the corner thread blocks are from next month. I'm kind of doing a sewing theme here for the next few months. That's it for the project this month. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next month. Thanks.